morning, everyone. For today's presentation, I picked a verse from the 5th chapter, verse 23 from the 5th chapter of the Gita. The 5th chapter in the Gita is called Karma Samnyasa Yogam. And this is the chapter which teaches us, one of the principles that this chapter teaches us is that attaining detachment in action is the essence of spiritual life. That is, living in this world but not depending on this world for our joy, for our peace. That is the base of spiritual life. To make this point, I picked verse 23, which says, Sheknoti haiva yaha sodum prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodotbhavam vegam sayuktaha sasukhi naraha. Krishna says, while we are on this earth, before our death, he who is able to withstand the agitations, the impulses that are born out of desire and anger, that person is a yogi. That person is a happy man. When we are living in this world on a day-to-day basis, we get a lot of input from the world through the 5 senses. That's how we collect all the information from the world. And this input affects our mind, which is the 6th sense we have. As long as the input from the outside world is affecting the inside world, it's hard to stay in peace, it's hard to stay in joy, and hard to keep the inside pleasant. When we are able to have a check on this input that's coming through all these 5 senses and inundating our mind, then we can have time to discover the peace, the joy that we already have inside. Typically, we are very proud about our freedom. We take pride in doing things independently. We like to wear the clothes we like to wear, we like to live where we want to live, associate with people we want to associate with. We are very proud about how we deal with the external world and keep our freedom. But when it comes to the inside world, we forget about this principle. You can identify with me when I say comments like, he irritates me, or she bothers me, that bugs me, this upsets me. You can imagine, right? Where we constantly let the outside world affect what's going on inside. And Krishna says, true freedom is to be able to maintain freedom inside, independence inside, control what you feel, how you are inside yourself. Are you at peace? We're also on a day-to-day basis trying to keep our surroundings clean, like house, we want to keep things pleasant around ourselves. And what Krishna is saying is, that's nice, keep it clean and nice and pleasant outside, but more importantly, work on the inside. Keep the inside pleasant. A very famous comedian, his name was George Burns, and he was asked, like, how come you're always happy? You look like nothing bothers you. You seem to be in good mood. And what George Burns said was that whenever life presents me challenges, I look at them and I decide if I can do something about it, I'll fix them. Whatever problems they are given to me, whatever challenges I'm facing. But if I know that I cannot do anything about it, I let it go. I don't let that bother me. Meaning, the outside is already unpleasant. Why add misery to the inside? See? So, that is how I live my life, he said. Now, is it easy, like somebody is saying something bad to us, or somebody is not treating us right, whatever, we are easily affected by all this. It's not easy to not be affected. But the question is, which is harder, to let the world affect us and suffer, or to work on not being influenced by the world and stay at peace? Which is harder? That's what we need to decide. One of the other things that happens to us is, not only we receive the input from outside, but we are constantly interpreting it in the head. There is this conversation that goes on inside the head. Say we are in a conversation with someone and it's not going well. We may withdraw from that conversation, or we can tune it out if it's not pleasant. But if the conversation is going on in our head, we cannot get away from ourselves. So what Krishna says is, change the conversation inside the head. This is a constant chatterbox, and learn how to interpret the input. The input may not change, but you can start looking at it differently and learn not to let it bother you. So far I have been talking about things that can agitate us. Now let us look at the pleasant things. Not only we get input that is bothersome, we also get input that can be very pleasant through these five senses. Say we hear good music, eat good food, or have good company, hear good things. So we also have good things coming from the outside. Nothing wrong in enjoying those. We are endowed with these five senses, and Krishna wants us to enjoy life, be happy in this life. But trouble comes when we depend on the external world to keep us happy. That's where the trouble comes from. Why? Because first of all, nothing stays the same. The world is constantly changing. Charlie Chaplin once said, nothing stays the same. Even the problems don't stay the same. World is constantly changing. So even the good things change. In addition to that, if the good things don't change, whatever pleasures we get from the outside cannot be sustained either. Because first of all, it's hard to keep on having the same sensory input. No matter how good the food is, we cannot continue to eat it again and again and again continuously. The music may be good, but we don't want to hear it forever. You can take any example which might be very exciting, but it cannot be exciting after a certain amount of time. There is this law of diminishing returns. So even the most ecstatic experiences that give us the high, like holding our baby for the first time, buying a house, getting a job, nothing that comes from the world, even the most elating, exhilarating experience cannot be sustained. So good or bad, it cannot be sustained from the outside world. So that's what Krishna is talking about. Krishna says wisdom is to know this and realize that your true peace comes from inside. And that's when he says this verse I was talking about. Let me repeat it. Shaknoti haivayah sodum prak sharira vimokshana kama krododbhavam vegam sayuktaha sasukhi naraha. Means, while we are still here, if we can withstand the impulses, the agitations that we get from desires, and when the desires are not fulfilled, the anger we get, if we can withstand them right here, right now, that is yoga. Yoga is nothing else but learning how to be in this world and be at peace. And that person is a happy man, Krishna says. Means Nara, he uses Sayukta as a Sukhi Naraha. Nara means grown up person. He says be grown up, don't be immature, become a mature person. So what he's trying to tell us is, throughout the Gita, Krishna talks about desire and anger, how they affect us. And let us look at desire. When we look at desire, there are two types of desires, raga and dvesha. Raga is like, dvesha is dislike. Raga is we want something, we don't have it, we are lacking it, we try to obtain it, we want to get it. Dvesha is once we get it, we don't want to lose it, we want to keep it. That is dvesha based desire. Or something is bothering us and we can't wait to get rid of it. Wanting to get rid of something is also a dvesha type of desire. So those are the two main types of desires we have in life. Now desire, when we look at it, it is the basis of life. It can be a wonderful thing and it sustains us. If you look at it, all of our life we are constantly filled with desires from morning to evening. Continuously we have desires. Starting as simple as mundane as I want to get up from my bed to brush my teeth, to you go on. All these are desires. The whole daily routine is full of desires. The job, the food we eat, the recreational activities, even coming here to this meeting is a desire. So desire by itself is not the problem. When desire becomes a compulsion, no matter what, I want to get my way, I want the world to conform to my ways, my wishes, is when the problem comes. If you look at it, even doing duty is a desire. So in the 7th chapter, Krishna tries to differentiate this. He says desire by itself is not the problem. 7:11 he says dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi paratarshava. He says I am the desire. Who do you think I am? I am the desire. I am the one causing this in you, in all the beings. But in line with dharma, desire is the one which helps you, which takes you to a higher level, to help you evolve spiritually, to enjoy life, to connect with me. I am in you. It's through the desire you can connect with me and enjoy this bliss. No matter what the desire is, the problem comes when it is not fulfilled, that we get agitated about it. And then it becomes a binding desire, and binding desires lead us to suffering. So how do we learn to not have desires but not be affected and be bound by them? What we do is we can learn a few tips. One of them would be learning to deal with the expectations, meaning having a desire in a conscious way, living in awareness. What does that mean? Desire can become a preference. I want a big house, that's a preference. But if I don't get it, that's okay too. That's a non-binding desire. Meaning, if it is fulfilled, fine. If it's not also, I can be okay with it. Learn to be okay with it. And that means I am developing what is known as prasada buddhi. Prasada buddhi is what Karma Yoga teaches us, to be able to receive anything that comes our way as a blessing, as a chance to learn, as a chance to grow. So spirituality is to be okay with uncertainty in life, because nothing can be taken for granted. We never know what we would be facing in life. So no matter what is in store in the future, to be at peace with it is what spirituality is all about. That is how we can make desires non-binding. Another point would be learning to delay gratification, postponing gratification. We have cravings. This is called trishna. Trishna is like we get an idea, we see something or we hear something, first of all from the sensory input, or we think about something and we get this craving. We want to have that experience. It could be from past experiences. We ate something before which was heavenly. We hear or see or smell it and we want it right then. Or somebody told us, oh, I saw that movie, it was excellent, you need to go, and we can't wait to go see it. We want to do it right now. So either way, we want it right now. But learning to delay that and enjoying that delayed gratification can help us to make it non-binding. There is joy in waiting. There is joy in accepting. We are more creative when we are faced with challenges. When everything goes continuously all right, life can be very dull. We get to know our strength only in adversity. So that would be another point. What else can we do? Learn to be content in life. That doesn't mean it's being indifferent no matter what happens, but being happy with what we have. Most of the time, desires come from comparison. It's a bottomless pit, and if we keep comparing, there is no end to it. Learning to count our blessings, living with an attitude of gratitude, that can help us also. What else can help us? If we are not careful, even when we have our desires fulfilled, that may not be the end of the game. We may end up wanting more and more, and that is greed, lobha, where the more we have, the more we want. Again, it's an endless desire, insatiable appetite, and wanting more and more, limitless way. And we become more and more self-centered, thinking about ourselves first. We want the best for ourselves, and this is also a factor which can lead us to suffering. In the 16th chapter, Krishna says, the gateway to hell, we don't have to die, the gateway to hell right now while we are living is from having insatiable appetite, desire leading to greed, or when it doesn't go our way, getting mad. This is the triad that leads to hell. So he says avoid this situation. And last but not least, learning to share instead of wanting to get all the time. I want more. Learning to give, and this doesn't have to be monetary giving only. It could be time, it could be kindness, it could be compassion, love, understanding. So those would be some of the principles that can help us to not be in this state of wanting all the time, but sharing as much as we can. So that's about desire. What about krodha, anger? Anger results from expectations about the world. When the desire is not fulfilled, it is the disappointment that we feel. And when it catches fire, when it catches speed, that's when the suffering starts. When we feel disappointed, oh, I wish it went okay, then there is no problem. But when we go into this mental conversation and let it agitate us more and more is where the problem is. And anger that agitates us can ruin us. It can be very, very destructive. To be angry is as simple as to suffer. There is no other way of looking at it. Anger is danger without the D. It hurts us. It hurts all our surroundings also. It affects all aspects of our lives, all relationships. And when we are angry, it feels very justified. We feel empowered, enraged, and we feel right because we reason that it was somebody else's fault. We blame somebody because of him, because of her, because of that, because of this. We blame the world for our anger, and that means we are giving away power, and we end up harming whom the most? Ourselves the most. Nobody else suffers, for our anger as much as we suffer. Our health, our psyche, everything is affected. And very often after the end of the anger, we regret also. Oh, I wish I didn't do that or go through that. So it's a very draining experience. It's not, when it's all said and done, it's not an empowering type, it's a very draining type of experience. So when we look at anger, first thing is how can we avoid it, and then deal with it if it happens, even if we're trying to avoid it. How can we avoid getting angry? First of all, as I said, changing the desire to a preference rather than a compulsion. It has to go this way. This is my preference. If it goes well, if not, fine. Also being fine with it. But continue to work towards making it happen if you want to, but keeping the inside peaceful. Then changing the expectations, being practical about it. William Shakespeare, I believe, said, I am always happy. I feel happy all the time because I don't expect anything from anybody. I mean, imagine how wise he was. So, changing the expectations. The more expectations we have, the more we are doomed. And be ready for disappointment. Work hard, but hope for the best, but be prepared if it doesn't go the way we want it to go. And learning to let go. Learning to let go. Learning to let go. Krishna teaches this again. Let go, let it go. And meditation helps us with overall, way we process things in the head, and helps us to change the way we think about things. In case we get angry, no matter what, how much we tried, we are human beings, we get angry. And be aware of it. Take a deep breath. You might all heard about this. Count to 10. One of the best techniques I have heard and practiced is to hold your breath. When a negative emotion is, getting hold of you, just hold your breath. Nothing is more important in life than to be able to breathe. That is such a basic thing. Without breathing, we cannot continue. When we hold our breath, the whole concentration goes towards our breath. Not to the point of getting, passing out, but hold it so that the thought process gets a break, you see, and the anger breaks, and do it for a few times. That helps a lot to break that cycle of emotion, no matter what type of negative emotion, including anger. Taking some time out and changing the dial in the head, looking at what the conversation is and see if we can change the channel to something pleasant, something we appreciate. And learning from the experience. One of the other problems that anger is about is the incident may be short, the reaction may be short, but the problem comes when we get agitated again. So instead of reliving it, learning to review the situation. What happened? What could I have done? How could I have reacted differently? Is something we can learn. Even from the worst experience, we can learn. So that is about what Krishna is talking about. Learn to deal with these two main things that can be very, very painful and can lead to a lot of suffering. Try to deal with it while you are here. So to summarize it, we live in this world, yet we cannot control this world. Expecting the world to conform to our wishes can result in pain and suffering. And Krishna teaches us to avoid it by learning to withstand, not getting carried away with the agitations caused by desire and anger. And that is the way we can change by changing the way we interact with the world. And that's what yoga is all about. That's what spiritual maturity is about, being a happy person. To be able to enjoy this bliss we already have. And Krishna says again and again, you are endowed with this bliss inside. We are just not aware of it. The analogy would be very similar to a cloudy day. Right now we don't see the sun. Not that the sun is not there, but the clouds are covering the sun. See? So when the clouds are removed, we see the sun. When we remove the clouds of this anger and desire, we can see the bliss. And we can connect with that bliss and enjoy it. I would like to conclude with a saying from Dr. Deepak Chopra. He says, nothing is more important in life than connecting with our own bliss. That's my presentation. Okay?
What is that last sentence? Can you say that again?
Dr. Deepak Chopra, nothing is more important in life than connecting with our bliss. Bliss that we already have inside. Nothing is more important